Hello there, audience behind the screen, Deon here, and you know what I can't stand? It's whenever these film sequels come out, which are not reboots or remakes, they're direct sequels, yet they just have the same name as the original. Why? It's lazy, it doesn't make sense, and you're just gonna confuse people. Again, they're not remakes, they're not reboots, they're not readaptations, they're literal sequels. For example, you have The Thing in 1982, then in 2011 they did a prequel, so it's like a sequel in reverse, it takes place before the original instead of after. And you wanna know what they called it? The Thing. They couldn't think of something like The Thing The Beginning or The Thing Origins. They just called it The Thing. So you're gonna be watching The Thing, then you're gonna be watching The Thing. Well gee, I hope somebody doesn't accidentally watch the same movie twice. But for some reason this became a trend with horror movies. You have the original Halloween, then you have the remake of the original Halloween, which then got a sequel. And in between all of these, there were sequels to the original Halloween, one of which erases the events of everything after Halloween 2. Then in 2018, they did another Halloween movie, a direct sequel to the original Halloween that erases the existence of Halloween 2. And guess what they fucking called it? Halloween! I get not calling it Halloween 2, that'll confuse people, but could you at least think of something more distinct? Like, I don't know, Halloween Returns or something? This even happened with DC and Suicide Squad. You have Suicide Squad from 2016. Then you have The Suicide Squad in 2021. So it's a reboot, right? No, it's a sequel. I watched The Suicide Squad in cinema and I thought it was a ton of fun. But the title just bugged me. Why just take Suicide Squad and add "the" to it? That's not really gonna distinguish the two that much. I get that the original Suicide Squad wasn't well received and you wanted to ignore it. But again, it's still a standalone sequel. They could have at least thought of a more original title. But if that wasn't bad enough, 2022 did this twice. You have the original The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, then you have the sequels, and then there's a remake called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But then in 2022 they did a direct sequel to The Texas Chainsaw Massacre called Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Seriously, you just removed the... That's the bare minimum. But that's not the only time it happened in 2022, because that was when they released the 5th Scream movie. While it is a sequel to the original, of course, it doesn't retcon the other 3 sequels out of existence. It very much is Scream 5, but you wanna know what they called it instead? They fucking called it a Scream, the exact same thing as the original movie. But you wanna know what's the worst part? After that, they released Scream 6. Sure, they use Roman numerals instead of actual numbers, but it still says Scream 6. So you're going to go from Scream to Scream 2 to Scream 3 to Scream 4 to Scream 6. What sense does that make? What, does the number 5 not exist anymore? But won't you believe it, that's not the only time that's happened. That also happened with the Final Destination series. Final Destination, Final Destination 2, Final Destination 3, The Final Destination, Final Destination 5. What about 4? Why didn't you call it Final Destination 4? But anyway, hang on a minute. What do you mean that Final Destination isn't the only film franchise with a 4th entry to get that treatment? Wait a minute. The Fast and the Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, Furious 5, does not compute. I've learned something today. The Fast and the Furious 4, Final Destination 4 and Scream 5 don't exist. Bye.